She's a best-selling author, a literary agent, and a publisher who has curated thousands of query letters and projects. As experienced editors, Deborah Herman and her team of professionals have seen every possible mistake a fiction writer can make. In fact, she's identified 7 mistakes that make all the difference between a compelling novel and a dud. Deborah, thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. We really want to help writers to know why they're stuck, because these mistakes can really derail a manuscript and may not have anything to do with the underlying talent or vision or imagination of the author. These are just common pitfalls that we see over and over because we're looking at a lot of things, and the authors are looking at 1 or 2 things.
One of those common mistakes is using passive voice. Why is passive voice a writing mistake and not a grammar mistake?
Well, I think that essentially because of what makes up a sentence, subject, verb, object, technically it's not a grammar mistake. It may come up in, people use different software programs. It may come up that you could word this differently and in a better way, but it's not going to come up in a grammar check as this is blatantly wrong. However, when I surveyed my team, we all agreed that the most annoying thing to read in a novel is when the author is using passive voice. Well, what does that mean? It means it's the difference between whether an action is being done to the subject or whether the subject, the person, is doing an action. And when you're writing a book, you want everything to be moving forward. So it's not only the opposite of your goal, it creates very awkward and wordy sentences. So it's really something that we are listing as a common mistake because we feel that it impairs the quality of the manuscript. So it's almost like a stop sentence. It's going to stop the action, and it's, like, for example, a good meal was had by us. That's really awkward. Whereas you could say, we had a good meal. It's so, the difference is just so clear. And I think maybe 50 years ago was more common to write with a passive voice, but I think today's reader wants that clear, concise, compelling sentence that is just straightforward. Why don't you just say it that way instead of going the roundabout version of it? So that's why we are listing this as a mistake. Try to always move your story along and use an active voice.
Deborah, if writers want to know about the rest of the 7 mistakes and whether or not they're making them, what should they do?
We've created our program and our team so that we can look at a manuscript based on our experience of having seen these things over and over and over to reflect back to the author what they may be doing wrong. Of course, we will tell them what they're doing right, because all writers need to hear that. I've been on both sides of the fence, but we really want to help them to move beyond these common errors. So what they can do is they can reach out to us at assessmybook.com, and that will explain our program and all of the details and how they can avail themselves of our professional experience.
Deborah, thank you for sharing your insight.
Oh, thank you so much.